Welcome, everyone, to the History Man with your host, Bobby Williams. Sponsored right here on YouTube by our sponsor, no other than our family at Facebook Family. And our History Man today will be Dr. John E. Cardwell. Welcome, everybody, to the History Man. My name is Bobby Williams, and I'm going to be the host. And every week, we're going to try to host a spotlight, a black man who made a difference here in Houston, Texas. And today, the black man who made a difference here in Houston, Texas, a lot of us do not realize how valuable Dr. John E. Cardwell is. We know a lot about Mr. Holland. Okay, Mr. Holland is not a native Houstonian. Mr. Holland come from Indiana. Dr. Cardwell came right out of Fourth Ward. And he was a superstar at Colored High. Dr. Cardwell, in 1904, when he was born, and in 1922, he was an All-American at Colored High because they hadn't changed the name to Booker T until 1927. But Dr. Cardwell left after he graduated out of Colored High. This is a native Houstonian, by the way. As he graduated from Colored High, he went on to Howard University and graduated. And after he graduated, he went to Michigan, Ann Arbor, Michigan, the Michigan Wolverines. Can you imagine a black man going to the Michigan Wolverine around 1924? Well, Dr. Cardwell did. And not only did Dr. Cardwell graduate, he got his master's degree and his doctorate degree from the University of Michigan out there in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So in 1927, Mr. E.O. Smith, and everybody knew about Dr. John E. Cardwell because he was an All-American and one of the first All-American football players come out of Houston. So Mr. E.O. Smith offered him a job in 1927 to come to work over at Phillis Wheatley to head up their athletic department. And while at Howard University, he had a good friend named Mr. William Holland, who had already been here in Houston and came here from Tennessee College, because it wasn't a university then. And Mr. Ryan had already hired Mr. Holland to head up the athletic department over there at Jack Yates in 1926. So in 1927, his good friend, Mr. Dr. now, John E. Cardwell, came to head up Phillis Wheatley program and the football coach. And this is about Dr. Cardwell because this man sacrificed. Now, y'all got to excuse me if I start getting a little emotional because I understood what this man did. This man sacrificed himself to try to help us blacks come out of high school and be productive citizens. We're talking about all the blacks that came out of school that still living today, out of Phillis Wheatley and Jack Yates. This man is the only principal to open up 2 black senior high schools. In 1950, he opened up the new Phillis Wheatley over there at 4900 Market Street. He was assistant principal to Mr. E.O. Smith when he passed away. And when Dr. Caldwell took over the principal job over there on Grigg Street. So in 1950, they decided to build a brand new school for Phillis Wheatley, the first senior high school for blacks, 4900 Market Street, and Dr. Caldwell had just transferred over from the Wheatley, the old Wheatley, which now is beginning to be the first junior high school, which is E.O. Smith. And when he left to go over there to Phillis Wheatley, he took Mr. Colin Briggs, his basketball coach, with him. And he also hired a man named Mr. William Moore to be his assistant principal. Now, Dr. Caldwell, he bleeded purple and white. Not only did his career get started there, but his son was an All-American on the 1952 basketball team, which was John Caldwell Jr. Man. So you see, he brought his family up. And then all of a sudden in 1958, the white superintendent was HISD, was Moorlander. And him and Mr. Holland didn't have eye to eye. Mr. Holland was the spokesman. Dr. Caldwell was laid back. He didn't get emotionally, he didn't curse, he didn't raise his voice up. And Mr. Holland was the man that was more aggressive because he came from Indiana. He didn't come from a segregated era like Dr. Caldwell. So Dr. Caldwell and Dr. Ira Bryant, they let Mr. Holland be the spokesman. Whatever Mr. Holland say, they went along with the program. And Mr. Moorlander, who was the superintendent, see, people got to get this straight. That's why I got a show called The History Man, because I'm telling you like it went. People say, where you get your information? Never mind. I got the right information. I got the facts. If you put the facts together, it'll equal out to what really went down. Because a lot of blacks in 1958 was all in an uproar. But whites had already started, Moorlander had already started manipulating blacks then because he knew integration was finna come in sooner or later. So he started manipulating the black principals because the black principals was like our pastors. We looked upon them for leadership, and they gave us good leadership. And in 1957, Booker T. Washington was over there in Fourth Ward. They took Dr. Ira Bryant and took him over there to Kashmir. That was the first move that the white people started disassembling us blacks. And then in 1958, they took Dr. Caldwell, who bleeded purple and white, and asked him to go over there and open up the new Jack Yates in September of 1958. Now, this is the facts. People can, you know, it's like this. Let's take for an example. I got this glass of water. Some people might say, well, the glass is half empty. Some people might say, it's half full. So what I'm trying to say is this. Facebook family, YouTube family. It's the way you want to call it. Everybody got their own set of eyes, so everybody looks at it different. Only thing I do is give out the facts. The facts is what actually really happened. From the information who was the people who was there. Now, it started out around 56 when Mr. Holland and Moorlander got into it over the rodeo. Mr. Holland told Moorlander that we're, as black schools or colored schools, we're not marching behind those horses. And that's it. And Mr. Holland got with Dr. Bryant And Dr. Caldwell said, look, we're going to come together as a unity, and we are not finna march in the rodeo. So then Molander them had to, and them, I mean HISD or Lily White School Board, because Dr. White wasn't on the school board at the time. So the Lily White School Board say, well, okay, then we'll have y'all marching behind the white people, and we'll stop that. But Mr. Moorlander, who was the HISD superintendent before McFarland, he knew then that Mr. Holland had unity and had power over wit when it comes to organizing. And Mr. Holland came from the East Coast, so he wasn't used to looking up to white folks. He was looking at white folks. And that was a big thing for Moorlander, being the racist guy he was on the school board. So then he decided to say, well, what we gonna do? And it was his doing. He called a meeting in for all the school principals, the black principals. And he did not want nobody to come in the meeting but Mr. Holland. And he was around all of those white school board members. And he told Mr. Holland and called him out in front of those white school board that he was an uppity nigger. And when he said that, Mr. Holland knocked the hell out of him. He slapped him upside the head, and he asked him what the hell did he say. Okay, now, at that time, Moorlander right then have convinced the white school board that Mr. Holland can't control his temper. So he don't need to be over nothing that's getting ready to come in to the new era. So what they did, they voted Mr. Holland not to leave the old Yates over there at 2610 Elgin. And then they asked Dr. Caldwell to come over and open up the new Yates in September 1958. Now we're getting this record straight, because I got my sources, and they're real reliable sources, and they all dead and gone now, because I asked this information before they left. Is that Dr. Caldwell did not want to go to Jack Yates. His kids was raised up in Phillis, Wheatley. He started his career at Phillis, Wheatley. But they gave him a choice. Either go to Jack Yates or he can go to E.O. Smith. Dr. Caldwell said, well, I don't give a doggone. I'm not going to take my best friend's job. So demote me down to E.O. Smith. And they argued about it. When I say they, Dr. Caldwell, because he did not want to leave Wheatley. Trust me, Wheatley, Fifth Ward, this man did not want to leave y'all. But when Mr. Holland told him, say, please take the job. We need you. Forget about what they say out in Fifth Ward, you being a traitor. Forget about what the people in Third Ward are coming after you. It ain't about them. It's about our future generation. And I say this to say this, y'all. Stop blaming this man for being a traitor. He loved it, Phillis Wheatley. He did that because of us. That means all the black young people out of Third Ward, because Mr. Holland told him, say, if you don't take the job, they will bring in another black principal who we don't even know. So take the job, because we need you. Don't worry about it. If you got a problem over there at Jack Yates, I'm just a phone call away. I'm right over here at Ryan.